What's up guys, I'm Jake, and last time I put a video up on this car, you guys absolutely loved it. And so it may look a little bit similar, but I assure you that there's a few major changes that have made this car so much better for me to live out of. Like this one. There's actually room in the back here. I can keep my beers cold. I'm not scared about scratching this thing. I've got shade. And really just a heap of little things that are taking this car somewhere where I want it in the distant future. But let's get into the most important thing that you guys want to see. Let's get into the rear seat delete. A few months ago, I brought the car to fit my four-wheel drive in Adelaide so that they could install a false floor in the rear of the Prado for me. I had a heap of 12-volt gear as well from iTechworld to mount under the floor, but I wasn't sure how to fit it until we got these seats out of the way and all the extra trimmings that come with it. But with a bit of help from the boys, we had it all stripped out, and for the first time, we can see what all the fuss is about with the hybrid battery. Got it all out. Look how little that battery is. And that must be the DC-DC. Couldn't they have made a lower floor? I feel like this is more the problem than anything, rather than that. Because they could definitely have got that down further. I'm not a fan of this design, how it sits in here, because I feel like this is where the water's going to be trapped. If I get water, you know, even through the doors or wherever, it's going to be trapped in here. I just wish they put this in here. To be honest, actually, now looking at that, it would just be 4 bolts and then extending some of these wires, and you could mount these up in here. This isn't a mud bogger, I know, but just for a little bit, that would make it a lot safer, you know? I wonder if we could do a relocation kit. I mean, I know batteries can't get wet either. That could easily go. I'm sure there's room here. I've got this. I don't need that. I wonder where that is actually, the inverter. I wonder if it's behind there. But, you know, I could sit that in here and that in there and relocate it. I mean, I'm sure there's a heap of gap up here as well. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's something to do in the future. Or I just drive it and go for it. Maybe I'll do that. All right, so it's time to run some wires in this thing before we get the floor in. So we have the iTech DC-DC 40, and it comes with this wiring kit, which is sick. And it's got a 3-prong Anderson plug. But I've got to figure out how to run these wires from in here, which is where I'm gonna sit the DC-DC to up the front. And I'm just trying to decide whether I run it under the carpet or whether I run it down through the floor and then underneath and run along the chassis. So it's probably an easier way to run under there because there's so much room. But the other problem I'm having is that, see how this is like in a valley here? I don't really want to drill a hole through the floor. I've got this hole here for a battery vent. I don't want to drill a hole through the floor because I don't want water coming up in here and filling this up. So I also got this Evercool sent over. So that's going to go on this left-hand side here. So hopefully I can get most of the electronics underneath the floor and then just keep it flat and open just for now. If anyone's interested as well, so all the seats and the carpet and the plastic bits together weigh about 50 kilos. Also, if you buy the 7-seat model Land Cruiser, like this one, the GVM on this is 3150 and the 5-seater version is 3100. So if you take the seats out, you lose the 50 kilos and then you get an extra 50 kilos GVM. So that's a little hack for you. Look at it's all cleaned up. Toyota washed it for me, thank you. Not that well though. I figured out how to get it through the vent where this battery vents out. Dropping him right through this hole here. And then what I'm gonna do.
So guys, what you're looking at here
Just thought I'd add this in, but does anyone remember that whole big debacle where the car sales guy drove the Prado through the water and it stopped? And then Toyota said, oh, water came in through the airbox and no one knew what it was, and everyone thought that if it was going into the airbox, it was going into the motor, and who knows what it is. But that little pipe there is the airbox from the battery, the 48 volt system. So what I'm guessing has happened is that water's been pushed up underneath there because that little pipe comes out just in where the spare tire is and has gone up into the battery and all those control boxes and fried it. So that is a major design flaw for the Prados. Now, an easy way to fix this is it's just a pipe that sticks down. It's a venting thing. It doesn't have a fan or a motor or anything on it. Say you're going through a water crossing, you could just bend it in half and then put a little cable tie around it so that it couldn't get water through it. Or if you also wanted to, you could just pull it out and silicone the hole up. Now, both of these options, I'm probably gonna say are not Toyota approved, but if they work, and you know, you can do your own thing. But now we know what the design flaw is here. Now we know how to fix it. So this car is not going to have that problem anymore. Anyway, back to the video. And then seal it right up and give it a really good seal so that it doesn't get water through it. Just crazy to me that that's there. Anyway, regardless, who cares? So that's going to go through there. And I'm just going to leave the cable on the ground there to drag along the back, and hopefully this static charges it up and charges my battery. First off, we started with installing the skeleton. Oh, that fits around there perfect. And that gave us an idea of where to hide everything. So, with some careful planning and a lot of measuring, I managed to fit everything I wanted under the floor. You can actually buy these floors from falsefloors.com.au and they'll ship them to your door. I'm only getting mine installed here so that we can do a few custom bits and pieces to it, which is the other side of the business actually, customdrawers.com.au. Anyway, I've also run all of the wires myself. All this iTech gear comes with its wiring kit, so it's super simple to install. Look at this. You would not expect that there is a huge 200 amp lithium battery under there. There's a DC-DC charger and an AC-DC charger. Just all hidden under there, as well as the 48 volt stuff and the 48 volt battery and the blower motor. Everything's under there. It's all coming out through here. Now I'm thinking that when I get my fridge mounted, I'm gonna just mount my inverter just backwards on the back here behind the back seat. Not sure yet. That's the next thing. But right now we have a floor. I have a chair. King of the castle. Look at that. And obviously there's a trim piece that goes in there, don't worry. You barrel. Now again, I just want to say thanks to the boys at customdrawers.com.au for helping me out with this setup. It's actually so sick in here. So like I try and do on this channel, I want to give you guys proper reviews on things. So I don't just want to chuck something in and then the next day give you a review and see what I think. I like to use things for a certain amount of time and then tell you how they're going and how they're reacting, and you know, if they're holding up to all the damage that I'm doing to them. But this backspace at the moment is actually working really, really well. So originally we were supposed to have a drawer here and a big pull out here with an induction cooker. And I'm not saying that I'm never gonna do that, but the setup that we have in here now is working so well. Pretty much like you guys see it now is how I travel with it when we travel Australia. I don't usually keep much stuff in the car, it sort of goes in the caravan. A lot of times we might have like shopping and stuff like here, a box of bog tats might sit up there, but pretty much how it is now is how it works. I'll sort of show you what I'm doing at the moment. So we obviously have the Evercool 40 litre fridge, and we'll get into that in a sec. That thing is working so well. I've got a little bit of a gap down here, and I'm actually just keeping car cleaning stuff down there. I've got a small tyre gear bag, so that's just pegs and tyre gear screws and stuff like that in this little bag. You can see it here. So just that stuff. So I keep a small bag in here for this awning. Here, these are camera boxes, so I haven't actually found anywhere for this one. This is just like miscellaneous parts for the camera, but this one is my main camera box, which I'll show you. It's a Pelican case, which I've got. I would like to try and get this to have power in it somehow, so I could plug it into a USB port, but you've just got like the drone in there. That's just the big drone we have, and we have a camera. And the Osmo that I'm filming on right now usually sits here. So that's all nice, and maybe I can chuck something in here. Haven't really sorted that out, but this thing's been pretty sick. And then this one's just miscellaneous. I will show you. Why not? Oh, oh, that's the stove. Oh, actually, that thing's actually sick. I'll show you in a sec. So this is just miscellaneous stuff in here. So I know it looks like a wardrobe, but like mics and stuff in here. That's like one of those half up, half downs for a GoPro. There's another drone in here. There's just a mini in there, and some GoPro things and a gimbal and all that kind of stuff that everyone loves. Camera stuff is one of those things that if you're running a YouTube channel like this, it's sort of like a tradesman's tools. But it's pretty funny to think I'm a gas fitter, if you guys didn't know, but as a tradie, you have your ute and you have your tools and stuff in there. But now with us doing sort of social media stuff, these are my tools. So anyway, so this goes up here. This puppy sits over there. And then we have the Evercool fridge. The drawer fridge, like for sort of saving space and being able to chuck stuff on top and not worry about it, is so good. I've never had one before, and it's very funny to think, like, it's quite a big box, and I do understand that, but just being able to open, grab something out, Coke in here, beers, whatever you want, close, and not have to move anything out of the way, and not have to open Velcro or whatever on the hatch. So we used to have a 40 litre Dometic on a slide. Don't get me wrong, it worked really well, but this is just so efficient and it looks really good and sleek. Here you can see from the other side of the fridge box, you can see that we've got these cutouts for ventilation. We've got the 2000 watt iTechworld inverter in here. That thing works so well, actually, like it's been pretty flawless. You can sort of see I've got all my cables and stuff running under here. Here's that cable for the AC/DC charger. AC/DC. Cause I'm TNT. I haven't really figured out exactly where all this is going too much. It's quite good right now, but it's working. But so we've got a heap of storage. I am thinking about taking these middle seats out when we go away in a few weeks. Just to, you know, give it a go. Hazel's got what is this? George up here, so that entertains her. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've done in the car. Sorry, excuse the mess here, but that's the interior of the car. But so far, this back setup is working so well. So the plan is next week, we're actually going to take this car away for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days without the caravan, and we're going to live out of it. And at that point, that's when I'm going to go, I need a drawer here, I need induction here, I want this and that, and this is where I want to put USB ports, and this is where I want to put that kind of stuff, rather than trying to build all this stuff and think, oh, I'm going to use that, I'm going to do that. I feel like it's best to just go and use your car just with boxes and nothing in it, and figure out, oh, hey, I actually like cooking on this side of the car, or you know what, this is a good idea, rather than spending a heap of money, you know, figuring stuff out and putting stuff in places that maybe it's not actually that good for you. I hope that made sense. Now guys, let's get onto the wrap. So, as you guys saw with me hitting the stick before, this thing has been bush wrapped. And Lil and I did it ourselves. It was pretty easy. The Bushwrapz was fairly easy to install with the two of us. First off, I went round the night before and clay barred the whole car. Clay barring is basically taking everything off the paint, like wax and sap. It's definitely a good idea if you plan to PPF your new car. Do this ASAP, as I think getting all the crap off the paint was almost harder than doing the wrap itself. Luckily, we could use my dad's garage for this, as you don't want any specks of dirt under the wrap.
This is going on that car.
We started off simple by doing the fuel cap and then worked our way up to the harder panels, like the doors and the bonnet, which was super hard. It's funny watching this footage back because you can't even see it once it's on. But trust me, when it's on, it gives it an insane shine. I was really worried that the car would lose its pearl shine, but if anything, it just made it so much better. Bushwrapz has been an absolute game changer on this car. I am not scared at all of scratching this.
Oh my God.
Oh no. Oh.
What are you doing?
I don't know, I can't go back. I just wish that like these black pieces and stuff here could be wrapped, but it's just the way the car is and it can't be, but it's pretty crazy. That was one of the biggest questions that I got at the Melbourne show. People came up to see the car when it was on display and they were like, where's the scratches? And I was like, there's no scratches, it's wrapped. It's crazy, this stuff. I really thought it was a gimmick. And as you guys can all see now, the stripes are back. So I got these from same place as last time. I call it Touge Nation. People pronounce it Togi or whatever it is. It's Touge. He's just a guy I found on Instagram. So this is the exact same sticker set that we had on the last one, but this time I've actually done them straight. I just had help from a friend, my mate Ash. Very cluey guy, so we got them on. I actually had to freehand these last ones, which was hard. And they're on over the top of the Bushwrapz. I think it's one of those things, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you put these underneath the Bushwrapz, then you might get bubbles in your Bushwrapz, but it will also protect the stickers. They're not gonna lift, they're not gonna lose color. Like the Bushwrapz will protect all that kind of stuff. The thing is, when you put them on the top, if you stuff them up, then they're not stuck under the Bushwrapz. So that's always good. And the Bushwrapz is just, it's properly on the car, like it won't lift. I just chose to go on top. It was more to do with timing of when I got the wrap and when I got the new stickers. But I'm super happy with how the car looks with these stickers on it. It's the one thing that people always say to me. They say, I love the stickers, I love this car. And people will take photos of it anywhere. But when it had no stickers on it, it was just a Prado with wheels on it. And then now it's got stickers on it, and now it's Lil and Jake's Prado. Okay, so now the next thing, the awning. So this awning is the Bush Company 180 XT Max awning. So if you're familiar with wagons, especially ones with a big hatch like this thing, you'll know that if you put a 270 on them, they hit. So I only had a choice of a 180 awning. Now I've had a few awnings in my time. Originally, when I first had my Ranger before I left on my round Australia trip, I had the XTM 270 awning. Now you see, the problem that I had with that awning was I didn't use it because it was too much to set up. And just anytime there was any wind, it was absolutely nerve-wracking. So the next awning I had was the Bushwhacker 270 awning. And that was the first awning that I'd ever owned that was freestanding. Well, semi-freestanding. And it was a game changer. And don't get me wrong, that awning was so good, and for the money, it was fantastic. But This is the first awning I've had that I don't even care if it's windy. I don't even care if it's raining. It didn't even come with legs. I feel like if I could explain this awning in one word, it would be carefree. It's just one of those things that, you know, you set your awning up at the campground and you think, I'm just gonna go for a walk. But with my other awnings, I always had to be like, oh, what if I'm out somewhere and it gets windy and then I come back and it's destroyed? I better peg it down. I better put it down. Whereas this awning, it's up. I don't think about it. I leave it up overnight. I'm not like, I don't wake up in the middle of the night going, oh crap, the awning's up. What if it gets windy? That's gone to show that pretty much every time I pull this car up, I just get the awning out because it's just so easy. It doesn't matter what the weather is. It's so good. I cannot fault this awning. It is so nice. And I love the green as well. I know that it's packed up on the bag black, but now I've been thinking about doing some sort of like green accents in the car. I know that obviously the stripe's already done and we're going for that silver, gray, black, white look, you know, in that sort of tone, but I don't know, maybe some green on the interior or something like this sort of olive green just to spice things up a bit, you know? I'd also like to talk about the power system in here. So underneath the floor, we have the iTech 200 amp hour super slim battery, and it's the one with Bluetooth on it. We have their DC-DC charger and AC-DC charger and the 2000 watt inverter as well. The best thing about this iTech battery is that it's Bluetooth. So I do have a screen to go in this, which is probably the easier way to use it, but I also have this app here that shows me everything that's sort of coming and going, power in, power out. It's obviously on 100% because I've just been driving around, but this seems to work really, really well, hey. This has been heaps enough power to run just this fridge. I could have got away with a 100 amp hour battery easy just to run this. The reason I opted for the 200 was sometimes I'd like to run an induction, but mainly what I do with this whole setup is I'll run a lead into my inverter and then I'll run it from that into our caravan and plug it into the shore power on our caravan. And what that will do is charge the batteries in the caravan. So it will put about 40 amps into our caravan and it takes about 50 amps out of this. So you do get a bit of a loss converting from 12 volt to 240, then 240 back to 12 volt. And I can actually plug that in and then turn the aircon on in our van and then run the aircon off this 200 amp battery in here and not be touching what's going on in our caravan. So it's like a jerry can. And that's one of the reasons why I went for this bigger battery. One of the questions I get asked the most about this car is, how's it going? How's it been? What's it like? It's fantastic, it's great. It's the best car I've ever owned. But I feel like one of the best questions that people ask me is, what is this car like compared to the Ranger? And how do you rate it? And that's such an interesting question. To answer that, they're different cars and they both have their own perks and they both have their own flaws. The Ranger, hands down, was a way more practical car with a canopy on the back, the extra cab, so it was only a small little cabin. Hands down, way more, it's like a Swiss Army knife, you know what I mean? And this is just that, like, this is the miracle blade, you know? It's good for one thing and it cuts and it's super sharp and it's great, but it doesn't have a screwdriver at the back. It doesn't have a corkscrew. It does really good at what it is, and that's be a luxury off-road vehicle. Whereas the Ranger was still a ute. Like, it was sort of luxury, but it wasn't that good. It was sort of powerful, but it wasn't that powerful. It was very, very practical, but it's not this. This car you can do 10-hour days in, you got your cooled seats on. It's got so much more power than that Ranger had. It flies, this thing. I don't know why people on reviews or whatever are going, oh, it's slow or whatever, because maybe they wound the boost up in mine from factory, but it honks. It's good on fuel. Yeah, it's everything it needs to be. I will say the Ranger, with its longer wheelbase and the fact that it was heavier, it did tow better. It didn't wiggle around as much. With this being light and a short wheelbase, when you're doing 100 to 110 with a caravan on the back, it doesn't feel as planted as what the Ranger did. But like I said, that just comes down to wheelbase and weight of the car as well. You cannot fit anything in the back of this car compared to what I could fit in the canopy of the Ranger. But if I had them side by side, I'd pick this any day of the week. This is just, it is such a nice car. Here's another question that I got asked all the time. What are the plans for the car? What are you gonna do with it? Right now, I love it. It does need suspension. This car is so low to the ground. Like, if you just look at this, there are already just so many like dents and scratches and marks and stuff. This is my hand, like that. That is how close this car is to the ground. I reckon a Holden Commodore is higher sometimes. So that really needs to be fixed. What suspension I'm gonna go, I'm not sure yet. I'm just waiting for someone to do something sick. The next thing, we need a winch on this car. Not having one is like driving around with no insurance. You can do it, but it's not smart. It'll happen soon. I just really need to find like a nice bar that goes like along there. Just something sleek and small and lightweight, just so I can fit a winch in. Rock sliders, would like to get some rock sliders on this thing. Again, waiting for people, because every week I look online and someone's come up with something sick and something new and something stylish. And so the longer I wait, the better off I am. The more choices I'll have, and also the less likelihood of disappointment when I go and spend money on something, or I get something and someone else brings out something really cool and I can't get that. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. I am trialing this out. That's from Torque It. Torque It, make car go fast. Also, I changed my shovel holder mounts. You guys remember I had a big one that was on the other side, but I had to change it because of having the awning there. And I could have put it up here, but I just wanted to keep that there. I am sometimes carrying my spare tire on the roof here, but at the moment it's just sitting on the back of the van, so I'm towing it around. It's just too big to fit under the back of the car. It just hangs down way too low. Also, I am going to cut this exhaust off. One of my best mates is going to cut it and then put a little like pipe out to the side. So we're going to turn it sideways. Also, we usually have a stone stomper on the back of the car, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's like a big canvas, like mesh piece of material that goes from the car to your caravan, and it stops rocks coming from up underneath and then hitting the chassis of your caravan. So it's like an apron, I guess, for your caravan, so that when it's cooking on the dirt roads, it doesn't get anything down the front of itself. This car, new car, has a DPF, so it burns really hot exhaust gases out, and I don't want it to melt my very expensive stone stomper. So we're gonna side pipe it. So anyway, guys, that's my Prado so far. It's going places. There's still a lot to come, and I'm gonna keep testing this thing as much as I can. It hasn't let me down, except for obviously you guys know the bolt fell out of it, which is a bit silly. So far, this car is the best car I've ever owned, and it's the most beautiful car I've ever owned. But if you guys wanna see this thing hit one of the most hectic four-wheel drive tracks in Australia, Climbys track, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because not next week, but the week after, this thing is going to attempt Climbys track like it is, on stock suspension. We're probably going to lose those side steps. We're probably going to get a few marks underneath. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, guys. It helps us out. Like this video. Watch another one. Have the best day ever. Bye. Swimming through the awkwardness.